In the golden fields of WA's wheat belt, something different is growing at Mobrop. The farming town 300 kilometres south of Perth has seen its share of change over the years.
Traditionally, this used to be just a merino sheep area up until the early 90s, and then we've moved into broadacre cropping.
But among the fields of barley, canola and wheat, one farm is growing something new, something pink.
That's me sneaking a few hectares of land and squeezing everlastings in.
Jen Edgerton-Warburton is a former land care coordinator and one of Australia's largest suppliers of everlasting daisy seeds.
I got some seed in my past job from 20 years ago, and we just threw it on the ground and see how it went, and it's just flourished since then.
After the trial plot in 2004 bloomed, a small portion of the 6,000 hectare farm was siphoned off for growing the daisies, and the business Lucinda's Everlastings was born.
This one behind us is 3 hectares, and it goes around the corner as well. We've grown 15 hectares just off that here, which we plan to harvest the seed and just keep it in store in case we have risky years. Come on.
22-year-old Lucinda shares the name of her parents' business, while her little sister Zara has a product line named after her.
Zara's feeling a little bit down in the hierarchy because Zara's don't do as well as Lucinda's. So I'm developing at the moment Zara's Golden Everlastings again, and the crop is going to be amazing. So we're going to start harvesting the seed for that and start selling it in packets.
More than 1,000 species of everlasting daisies exist in Australia. The native flower derives its name from its ability to retain both colour and shape once cut. But for the WA sheep and grain farmers, growing them at a commercial scale has taken years of trial and error.
We had subsequent failures over the years, but it just worked first time. We got quite a bit of seed out of it, and so we just followed that recipe, and we just applied our broadacre farming techniques to growing a flower, and it worked.
There you go. There's a nice bunch of flowers.
What started as a passion project for Jen and Rob has quickly grown.
Initially, we just grew it as a wholesale seed, just supplying people who grew it wholesale, and they just used mine site rehab and stuff. What really started the packet business was when the second year we grew so much seed that we supplied the wholesale market, and we had a heap left over. Probably 70% of our seed was left over.
We got homemade stickers out of the printer and stuck them on Ziploc bags and sold them at IGA and shops like that, so we could see whether we had an industry. We now have 100 different shops across Australia, and our online business is just huge, twice the size of the retail business.
Success in mass cultivation has brought new and unexpected attention to the farm.
First of all, we live in Mobrop, no one drives. So someone said to me yesterday in the supermarket, they drove past here, which I found to be funny in itself, but they were amazed. They were just blown away.
Locals aren't the only ones. The farm has become a magnet for creative types chasing a unique backdrop.
We had Tame Impala come, where they did a photo shoot in the Everlastings for their new telepathic instrument. We had the most incredible open day in our Everlastings where people can just come down and roll in the flowers and take their children, take their dogs. And finally we had the breast cancer charity calendar shoot, so that was incredible as well.
It's a cause close to the family's heart. 5 years ago, Jen was diagnosed with breast cancer. The treatment was a success, and now she's cancer-free.
We can make so much money in this business, but it's all about giving back as well. With a lady that leads the charge with So Brave gave me a call and just asked if there's any wildflowers flowering so they could take a photo for the calendar. And I just said, you're not going to find many places in Perth because at this time of year, the flowers are still coming.
Jen and Rob offered up their home and one of their fields to help.
My sister's going through breast cancer. My mum's had breast cancer, I've had breast cancer, so when the lady called and said that she was doing it for a charity, I was just more than happy we've just opened our house.
After a couple of months of flowering, the everlastings come to an end. They're never harvested for their flowers, rather just for their seeds.
It takes about 3 days a year to seed it, to manage it during the year, and harvest takes a little while. And I have to squeeze in between barley and canola and get the crop out.
The harvest is short, thanks to a bit of innovation and on-farm engineering.
I guess our secret is that we do it all mechanically. And I've actually got an old John Deere CDS harvester.
Which was burnt in the fires that we had a few years ago.
But it had done 7,500 hours, and I'd retired it, and it was quite sentimental to me. It was kind of like one of my first harvesters. I converted it just to harvest everlasting, so that's all it does. So it sits in the shed all year, it comes out, does 3 hours of harvesting, and then goes back in the shed again.
But those 3 hours of work have taken years to perfect.
So grain works on the theory that, you blow the chaff out and the heavy grain drops. Well, I guess everlastings are a bit different. The seed is lighter than the chaff. So I guess we had to sort of try and work out how to reverse engineer it inside to make it work. And that's what we've done. So it works great.
Did it take a lot of trial and error to get it right?
Yeah, about 20 years. So I'd say the first 10 years we got a really rubbish sample and it took lots of cleaning. But I guess now we've developed the harvester to a point where the seed is about 80–90% pure. So we don't have a lot of trash in it. It's virtually, we're just harvesting seed.
But before the seeds can be packaged, they need to be dried. Trudging through 10 tonnes of damp seeds is a lot harder than it looks. As the seeds dry, they puff up. The process is repeated each day until the seeds triple in size, indicating they're ready for packing. For the first time, that process is taking place off-farm. Jen and Rob have bought this shop on Kojonups Main Street.
From the farm, it's really difficult. It takes about a week to get to the post office to then get to Perth. But in Kojonup, we can just straight away post every day to the post office and then off to Perth and the eastern states. Another reason is because of my health. I've got MS and it's more and more difficult for me to pack and process on the farm.
And there's big plans for the new location.
In August, we went to China and we bought a packing machine which is huge. So we actually don't have the space at the moment in the shed for housing that. But the new packing machine is just going to make life a lot easier for all of us.
The expansion could also have significant environmental benefits. Digby Groans is the senior plant breeder at the Kings Park Botanical Parks and Gardens in Perth.
My role here is to manage the plant breeding and development programs, which are really focused on positive environmental outcomes using West Australian and Australian flora. So we want to provide habitat for urban fauna and also produce resilient plants that are much more adaptable to climate change.
He says marrying grain and flower farming could breed new industry.
The revegetation industry is big and getting bigger, and the impact on our natural areas is significant if you're trying to harvest seed. So there's a real opportunity to grow our native plants as seed orchards, and in a similar way to the everlastings, sell that seed to people who are trying to revegetate degraded areas in their region.
And farms are a great place to start.
Because you don't really need a huge area to do it, but you need to manage it in a way so that you plant the plants and get them growing and flowering. But small areas can be set aside for these different species. And so if people talk to the people who are trying to regenerate and find out what species they're after and put those in the ground, and I think that's a real opportunity.
It's the same opportunity Jen and Rob took 20 years ago. But as their business grows, one thing has remained the same.
We just want to make people happy, so we're not fazed about them driving around the corner and going in the front of the field. They're so beautiful and they last so long in a vase. I'm just happy for someone to pick some flowers and get the enjoyment that we get out of them.